Speak to Francesco Rizzuto, the Dean of the School of Law at Liverpool Hope University. But Francesco actually joins us from Crotone in Italy. Presumably you're interrupting your summer holiday to speak to us. Really appreciate that, Francesco. Let's talk about the process, OK? 0.3% of the UK's electorate, that's the 160,000 Conservative Party members. They're mostly white, middle-class, older men. Is that fair on the country as a whole, that they choose the next leader of the country?
Not really, but those are the rules. The leader of the majority party is nominated by the Queen as Prime Minister. And of course, that tiny proportion of the population nominating the person who will then lead the country does seem bizarre in the extreme. But those are the rules, and if the Labour Party, for example, was in power and it got rid of its leader, just as I think you recall when Blair left and he was replaced by Brown, look, I don't think that is the issue, really. I think the real issue is that we have a whole series of crises that your correspondent mentioned: energy, inflation, cost of living, terrible relationship with the European Union, Northern Ireland. One thing that your correspondent didn't mention is an ongoing series of industrial strikes that are crippling. Scottish devolution around the corner, possibly another referendum on independence. The list of what I've described as the Johnson legacy is very long. And as again, your correspondent mentioned, and as you've pointed out, an electorate of 0.3 of the population, or 0.3 of the population, when the overwhelming majority of the population, if we go on opinion polls, is now against the government, is going to create some very, very serious problems for whoever wins tomorrow, and we presume it'll be Liz Truss.
Yeah, OK, so let's presume it is going to be Liz Truss. Certainly among non-Conservatives, there seems to be a sense of almost extreme shock that this person is about to become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Why would people feel that about Liz Truss?
I think that there are two or three reasons. Firstly, she's not a great media performer. And frankly, since she's been a minister, we've gone from one gaffe to another. And we've seen the gaffes during the election campaign. Our closest ally to actually say, well, the jury's out on whether he's a friend or a foe. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? So there have been gaffes. Secondly, I think that she is the continuity candidate of a discredited prime minister and a partially discredited government. So are people really taking her seriously? Third reason, she has now essentially become the candidate of the hard Brexiteers, who are partly responsible in terms of the choices that they made on the previous Prime Minister, Mrs. May, for the situation we've ended up in. Isolated in Europe and with an economic situation that really is worse than it should be. One of your items, by the way, was about energy prices in Germany. Well, they're a third more. In England, we expect them to go up by 80%. So 5,000, nearly 6,000 euros for average households. I don't think people outside of the UK appreciate what is going on in the UK and what has gone on over the last 2 or 3 years. A minority of the electorate in the Conservative Party may find what's going on very congenial, but unless a miracle happens in the next 3 or 4 months, I really don't see whoever wins, and as I say, it will be Truss in all probability, they're going to find it extremely difficult to simply establish their political credibility.
Francesco, we always appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed. Francesco Rizzuto, speaking to us from Italy while on holiday. Take care.
Pleasure.